Sophie, thanks for
Hi.
joining me. It's raining now. We're in the middle of a field doing a podcast, and now it's raining. We should have expected it.
We should have. It is a festival after all.
I
What
know.
festival is a festival without mud?
And it's England. So
That's
there
true.
you go. Tell us a little bit about who you are, what you're doing. You're quite early in your business journey as well, aren't you? So it'd be really good to kind of talk through that journey and how you've got started, how you're keeping going, and in this kind of economic climate and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, introduce her.
Okay, cool. Well, I suppose my journey into entrepreneurship really started because I'm disabled. So I have to use a wheelchair about 25% of the time.
Right.
And I think having some kind of adversity in your life can mean that you can be quite resilient. And because of that, I sort of found different ways to manage situations. But the one thing that I really noticed is there's no unique way to ask for your needs to be met. And just getting really fed up of there being like online forms where you have to like constantly repeat yourself, repeat your needs. And it can be a bit embarrassing at times.
Do you mind me asking what your condition is?
Yeah, sure. So I have Ehlers-Danlos, which is a genetic condition. So it means that like the collagen in my body is a bit weird, and my joints bend backwards and valves do weird things. But there's growing support for the charity, which is amazing, and for the condition. So it's nice that people are learning more about what Ehlers-Danlos is.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things like, you know, there's like hundreds and thousands of conditions that I just do not know the name of. Sometimes they're not immediately visible, like,
Exactly.
you know, then that's I think half the issue as well with, you know, just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. And
now imagine you're a line manager and you're managing someone and they tell you that they have a condition like Ehlers-Danlos, and you think, you know, gosh, what am I supposed to do? And I genuinely believe people want to do the right thing.
Of course.
But it's just hard to know where to go to get that information. So that's why we created the One Support Pass as an app to help both sides.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so what kind of business is that? So it's an app.
Yeah.
And how does that work then? So you've created an app and people can just go on and find help, or they can find assistance. Like, how does it work? What does it work with? Like,
so you go on there and we walk you through kind of helping you understand your identity, how you express yourself. So it's not just about disabilities, it's things like culture as well, right?
Yeah.
Because, you know, people who are Muslim, for example, might need common prayer time, and it often gets forgotten in the business world that like Friday afternoons are common prayer time, for example. So rather than having to constantly repeat your needs, you can go on there and you can see what other people like you are requesting and is getting accepted, whether that's in the workplace, whether it's from other services, or even in education. And the idea with the One Support Pass is that you can have it right from birth. So, you know, if you're a tiny little newborn baby going off to childcare for the first time and you've got an allergy to milk or something, that's with you. And also the thing that we recognize is that like disabilities, people sometimes think, oh, you either have it or you don't. But actually 65% of people by the time they're 50 will have some kind of disability.
really?
So, you know, when you think about, you know, eyesight problems or mobility problems, perhaps, you know, hearing loss over time, if you're like me and you go to all the Metallica concerts, you know. So, yeah, you know, over time, we change and our needs change. And that's why the One Support Pass kind of works with you.
I think that's amazing. And do you know what? I think I've been ignorant to this because I don't, you know, I thought, you know, sort of like eye issues, hearing issues, whatever. That, you know, I was a drummer in a band, and we were talking about that earlier, like really briefly, and I could probably got early onset tinnitus and, you know, all that kind of stuff, and I'd never seen that as like a potential disability. And how do my needs get met? You know, especially like doing things like this where I might become a little hard of hearing. How do I get a little bit of support to be able to keep doing this? And you just don't think about it, or is it just because it's just not obvious to us?
And that's the great sort of like added benefit that we have from what we're doing, is that we can look at those industry kind of we can group that industry data. So we know that a lot of people, for instance, working in construction end up with like slip discs and things like that at a younger age. And there is a little bit more stigma in the construction field around wearing PPE, which is something that I've been called in as a consultant to like help address.
Oh, wow, right, yeah.
But you know, that's still, it's going to take a while to change. But the more we can get that data and the more we can understand how we can really support people.
Like that. And I just immediately started thinking when you said construction, then I'm thinking about those industries that maybe this just is still so like unspoken. Like it's not talked about enough. Wow, that rain is coming down heavy now. I wonder if we can pick it up. But yeah, the construction, mainly male dominated, where we don't want to talk about it, or we see it as a weakness and all that kind of stuff. It's like people, even in those industries, they need to be talking about it, right?
Exactly. And there's such a stigma around asking. And actually, one of our colleagues at the One Support Pass, her husband works in construction, and he finds it really hard to wear PPE because he'll be made fun of, because there's a bit of a culture around that. And then that's something really that has just sort of across time is just sort of generated, and it's really hard to get out of. So we need to make it cool to look after yourself. But also in the meantime, what the One Support Pass will do is allow people to be able to ask for their needs, but in a less indirect way.
Yeah.
And in a way where they feel supported, like, okay, someone in my workplace and I might not be asking for this, but eventually maybe we can show stats that say things like X amount of construction workers are asking for this adjustment.
Yeah.
And then maybe even tie that to longer term outcomes. So I think, data is power. And in this world of AI...
I was just going to say, data is your best friend with this, isn't it? Like, it's all about, we need to learn from the data, but I guess the other side of that is that we need to learn the nuances that the data might not show, because data at the end of the day can be black and white. I do believe in data. I believe it tells a story, but there's always nuance, and individual stories and individual circumstances still are important to recognize, right? And those. So in terms of where you are in the business now, like what stage are you at? Are you pre-revenue? Are you just about to... I know you were mentioning about a Kickstarter campaign.
Yeah, so we've actually launched our Kickstarter today. So we're hoping to raise £64,000 over the next 60 days.
Very
so
specific.
That's very specific. But that's what we need to get to the next level. Actually, the app is already built. So I have another business, as entrepreneurs tend to do, have several businesses up our sleeve, which supports employers then with that information to help them manage the needs, because we spend as a UK economy 127 billion a year on discrimination.
Sorry, how much?
127 billion.
Jesus Christ.
On discrimination, the UK economy. And I can imagine we could put that back into our economy. And
I mean, we could do with that to like maybe fill this apparent black hole that we've got, maybe. Like,
let's not get into politics
no,
too much. Let's just sidestep that one a little bit. But I do think that as well, 127 billion, if that's what it's costing, what about all the people that it's causing extra stress, extra harm? I actually have another condition called hemiplegic migraines. So when I get a migraine, I become paralyzed on my left-hand side.
Oh my God.
I didn't even know it was a thing until I started having it like 2 years ago. But yeah, it's a real thing. And I've forgotten what my point was. But yeah, like the effects of discrimination aren't just the financial values. And I think there's a little bit of an idea that, people are just out to get a blue badge, or maybe, you've got to be so careful you don't get sued or things like that. But the truth is, the majority of people who are going through discrimination, they haven't reported it the first time or the second or the 200th time. It's when it gets really, really bad.
Yeah.
And for me, stress, and with a lot of people with chronic illness, stress really affects their conditions. So then you think about the health benefits and the economic value of a healthy population that we could bring with this support.
Well, this is it. Like, you don't really think about it. And I don't, obviously, we want to sidestep the political angles, but there is so much more money to be made from having a healthy workforce. And I think about my own wife actually, and she has a condition which is a form of arthritis basically, and she was out of work for a long time, and but for me, I didn't see a lot of support for her, and obviously we do as much as we can at home, but that was essentially a disability. Like, she was unable to type, and I hope she doesn't mind me talking about it, but it needs saying, really. It's like one of those things. Like, it was quite frustrating to see the lack of support.
Yeah, I'm really sorry to hear that, but at the same time, I know that is a lot of people. And like you said, these things can develop over time, and I genuinely believe that inclusion is as good as pension, because we all need to be working on it now and making the world more inclusive place, because as we get older and we need those needs met, we don't want to be blindsided by some of the things that I've had to deal with in the last couple of years.
And it sounds horrific, to be fair. I mean, I can't even imagine being like paralyzed on one side of my head just from like a migraine. Like that's, who'd have thought? Like,
I just think though that I feel like my place in this is that I'm incredibly lucky. Some people have to use a wheelchair 24 hours a day.
yeah,
I know the difficulties of using a wheelchair and trying to access places. There's still not as many accessible doors as we need, and not ramps, and so many things. But I am so lucky that I don't have to be in a wheelchair all the time.
yeah.
And that's why I kind of see it as my responsibility to do something about it, because I see both sides.
Yeah. That's it. Again, it's one of those things, and I'm really glad we're talking about it today, because it's just even just for me, it's kind of like brought it to the fore a little bit. Like, disabilities aren't always visible. You know, the conditions are far ranging and to varying degrees as well. And it's like, I think everybody just needs to be a little bit more compassionate, a little bit more. You don't have to tiptoe. It's just have a little bit of compassion and a little bit of consideration, and just. You never know what someone's going through. You really don't, do you?
Absolutely. And
so how can people support you in raising the £64,000? Where can they find you, Sophie?
So yeah, please head to our website, www.onesupportpass.co.uk. You can follow us on LinkedIn, Insta, Facebook, just started TikTok.
Nice.
And just follow it. And it's a vibe as well. We are not about sort of moaning about the negatives. We are all about celebrating human beings, unapologetically celebrating our uniqueness.
Love that. Hey, listen, thanks so much for coming on. It's been really, really good, and I'm just loving the conversations today. It's like they're so different, and even with the rain, I don't know if it's just because we're in a tent and people want some shelter. I don't know, but it's working out well. And all the best of luck with your Kickstarter. Wish you many success with it. So fantastic.
Thank you. Have a great day.